As technology gets better and better, most playwrights have turned to electronic tools to aid them in the writing of their stories. While this makes saving and editing plays much easier to do, these are not the only things that go into creating an exciting story. In addition to writing the dialogue, playwrights also need to have some sense of which characters are currently in the scene, how the audience sees the actors, and where the actors stand on the stage itself. In order to account for these, playwrights tend to draw sketches of their scenes. However, playwrights don't have a device where they can keep both the dialogue and the blocking information in one place. This makes it hard to visualize their play, as well as difficult to convey to actors or directors how the scene should look. This is where StageBlock comes in handy. StageBlock is a tool dedicated to helping playwrights visualize their plays. In addition to being able to add dialogue to a script, users can also add blocking to save their characters' positions. Once they want to know what their play looks like, they can then click on a playback button to see star figure representations of their characters, move to and from these positions, and say their assigned lines. But how do we actually get StageBlock to work? After entering the title of their play, the user will be brought to the screen they'll ultimately write their play on. From here, they can first add the different characters. For each character they add, they'll be able to also assign a color of their choosing. This is the color that will be used for the character's stick figure representation in both the blocking editions and the playback. From there, users are able to repeatedly add both dialogue and blocking to their plays. Via the block buttons, they can select which characters they'd like present in this part of the scene and then position them to wherever they'd like. And via the dialogue button, they can select which user should be speaking and then type out the words they'd like them to say. These will appear on the main screen. Additionally, every time a user goes to set the blocking of the different characters, they have two options for how they'd like to view them. The first is a front view, from which they can picture the scene from the perspective of their audience. The second is a top-down view, from which they can see the character's position on the stage. As the users switch from one view to another, the changes will be reflected on the different views. Once the user wants to know what their play looks like so far, they can then click on the playback button to see star figure representations move to and from the saved blocking positions and say their assigned lines from either the front view or the top-down view.